Okay, so welcome to Beauty of Colors podcast. I'm Chyrel Jackson and Lyris Wallace. It is great to have you on the show. Tell the listeners about you guys. How did you get together to write such an amazing, I think it's more than one book, or is it two books?
Yes. Two books.
Okay, excellent. Also talk about how you survived the deadly pandemic and how you navigated through the rough waters and what was the experience like. So if you want to go first, Chyrel, or if you want to go first, Lyris, it's all up to you.
Sure.
Okay.
We survived the pandemic by God's grace, as everybody has. And we're still going through it, but it's the return of normalcy is on the horizon. So I'm grateful for that. We do everything together. My sister and I are separated by 1 year and 5 months.
Nice.
I'm older by 1 year and 5 months. And so I'm blessed to have her, Lyris, for a little sister.
Okay.
Because she really lets me be the older sister. She allows me to be that. And that's great. So even in the process of writing our book, she's so talented, but she allowed me to really take the reins and take leadership roles. And so we wrote this book together because our dad kind of wanted us to put all of our poems in one place. And so the first book, Different Sides of the Same Coin, was a book that we wrote because he asked us to write it. The second book, Mirrored Images, that's the first book, right? Different Sides of the Same Coin. And then the second book, Mirrored Images, which is like the continuation of the first book, which is Different Sides of the Same Coin. It was birthed through the pandemic and everything that came out of that. So we were under quarantine. We were held up in a house under quarantine with news on all day. And we were watching a lot of what was being broadcast on the news, which were the police shootings. And that's a lot to take in addition to on top of being in a pandemic, watching social injustice and unrest take place. My sister and I both were taking care of our father, who was sick and dying of prostate cancer. So this is how the second book, Mirrored Images, came about. Just trying to make sense of and reflect on everything that had happened and was happening in our lives at that point. And so the title Mirrored Images is really, in the nutshell, summary of we see the world that we live in the same lens that we see each other. So we see ourselves as one person. And as I love my sister, we kind of take that love out into the world and try to write to, bring about encouragement and uplifting words and just words of, motivation to people. So that's what Mirrored Images is about.
Sounds great. I can't wait to read your book. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the first book, Different Sides of the Same Coin, came by because my sister and I always said that we were the same person, we just different, we're one entity. I mean, we're one, spirit, but two separate entities. Because as you can tell, my sister and I, we don't really look alike, but we think alike. Yeah. So we said we're the same, we're different sides of the same coin. And then I kind of piggybacked off of that, different sides of the same coin, and put in Mirrored Images. And came up with Mirrored Images. And if you notice the the cover of Mirrored Images. It is both of us looking into a mirror,
okay,
but
nice.
seeing the other one's reflection.
Nice.
You know, it kind of piggybacks off of us being the same person.
So did both of you guys collaborate in writing both books, or did you do one book and did Chyrel do the other book?
No, we both collaborated together. The first book, well, that's over like a 20-year period. Okay. My sister was writing about the experiences she was going through at the time. And then I started writing quite a bit after that, because my poem sort of came out of an accidental kind of situation. I started journaling, and I was journaling because, you know, events were happening that I couldn't quite really understand in my life. And so I said, well, I need to get some kind of understanding. And so I started journaling. And when I went back to read the journal entries, they kind of had a rhythm, you know, and I've always loved the way we as Black people speak, because there's always been a kind of rhythm. And I really, I was always fascinated with that. I thought that was really nice. So when I went back to read some of my journal entries, I was like, oh, they kind of have a rhythm. You know, I like that. So I kept doing it. And then that's how the poems came about. Because I like, and then I read them to my sister, and she's like, oh, you know, we always wanted to do a book. Ever since we were kids, we wanted to do a book.
That is nice.
And but we didn't know it was going to be poetry. Neither one of us thought it would be poetry. And then when she found out I was writing after I read her some of my poems, she said, let's do a book.
Nice.
And that's how, you know, and like she said, while we were there taking care of our dad and going through, you know, having to pack up a house where we spent most of our lives, over, 45 years we spent in this house. And we had to pack the house up because our dad, you know, the patriarch of our family had died. So that was a very dramatic thing for us. And then we were dealing with, like my sister said, social issues kept coming across the screen. And then, as you know, we were under a president who had no feelings for Black people at all. And we were dealing with that. And all of that kind of converged together. And we came up with this book, Mirrored Images.
Sounds good. So with the poems, could you tell the listeners, like, what are the poems about? Like a little kind of example of what the poems are about. Is it about nature? Is it about you guys' life? Is it about social issues? Kind of give a little feel about, like a little touch, a little feel about what the poems are about.
It's about all of those things.
Oh, good. Okay,
it's
excellent.
about all of those things. So basically, it's very universal in that it's lensed from a Black woman lens.
Right.
And what issues impact and affect us as an entire nationality of people. But some of the messaging is so universal.
Right.
Like losing a loved one, burying your father, taking care of him when he's sick, how you feel because you spent a lifetime of battling with this person, and all of a sudden this presence in your life is silenced.
Right.
And so everything that you wanted to say to him, you now no longer can say.
Right.
And so those are the types of things. We deal with grief, we deal with loss, we deal with relationships, we deal with social issues, we deal with, you know, just days where you just feel down, and you need some encouragement, and you need something to pull you up. We write about those things. We talk about sisterhood because we love each other so much. She is my best friend. She is my confidant. She is my go-to person. And so we talk a lot about sisterhood and family. We talk a lot about what it was like to lose your mom, what it's like now that your dad is gone. And then you're left with a whole bunch of family that you found out that you don't really like necessarily very much.
Mhm.
And so the one connecting bond, which were your matriarch and your patriarch, is your parents.
Right.
They are gone now. And so you pretty much it's just you and your sister, your sibling, and you're trying to navigate life because everything that you knew, the way you knew it, has been turned upside down. So now we're trying to deal with the fallout of all of those issues. And so that's what we write about. That's what both of our books are about, essentially.
Right. But our books also uplift us as a people. You know, we do that purposefully because there's so many things out here that try to hold us down and give us grief that we feel like it's important for us as Black women, and especially older Black women, to lift us up. You know, so we try to be a voice to uplift our people.
Sounds good. Excellent. So where can the listeners get a copy of your books and how can they get in contact with you guys?
Okay. Our books, both of our books are available on Amazon. And that's how you can get the book by just putting in either title, Different Sides of the Same Coin, book 1 or book 2, Mirrored Images. They're on Amazon. You can contact us by our website. Our website is Sisters, SISTERS, Rock, ROC, N as in Nancy, Rhyme, RHYME.com. Sisters, Rock, and Rhyme.com. If you access our website, you will then be able to access us on every social media handle that we have: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of them are listed.
Okay, sounds good. So thank you, Chyrel and Lyris, for being on the show and for sharing your stories of inspiration and hope and to help inspire other people out there and to give them a voice. Thank you both. Okay. It was nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Okay.